everyone, it's Maki here. Today, I'm going to introduce a mobile suit from the Gundam Age series. It's the Gundam Age-1 Unit 2 Assault Jacket. Its design closely resembles the full armor Gundam, which was created as part of the mobile suit variation project in the original 0079 series. It was originally a lesser-known Gundam that appeared in the spin-off Unknown Soldiers. However, fans were surprised when it appeared in the G Generation Eternal game. There's also an interesting hidden story behind this mobile suit. Today, I'll unravel the development history of the Age-1 Unit 2 Assault Jacket and its hidden story. This should help you enjoy Gundam Age even more. If you'd like, please consider supporting my channel by joining the 99-cent monthly membership. As a thank you, you'll receive a name badge and comment stamps. Alright, let's begin the analysis. The Gundam Age-1 is a mobile suit designed by the Age system. While the Age-1 was being manufactured, the Age system was also producing spare parts. However, this took place before the Age-1 was completed and deployed in combat. At that time, the performance of the Gundam created by Friedel Suno was still unknown. The Earth's Federation forces were skeptical about whether the Gundam would perform well. Consequently, they decided not to use the manufactured spare parts, but to store them instead. The Federation forces treated the completed Age-1 as an experimental prototype. The plan was to conduct repeated test operations with the Age-1, gather data and then produce a perfect, officially adopted Unit 2. These spare parts were intended for use in manufacturing Unit 2. However, the military's expectations turned out to be completely wrong. The completed Age-1 demonstrated astonishing performance. Shortly after being deployed in combat, it successfully destroyed a mobile suit belonging to the unknown enemy. In contrast to General Zhu, the Federation's officially adopted mobile suit at the time could not stand up to the UE at all. By contrast, the Age-1 achieved the feat of defeating one in its very first battle. Age-1 was completed to an incredibly high standard, and the Federation's engineers did not need to make any modifications. This wasn't due to a lack of motivation, but because after thorough research and evaluation, they concluded that there was nothing to improve. The Age-1 then went on to participate in the official operations of the Earth's Federation forces, achieving many successes. The stored spare parts were ultimately kept as research materials. The Earth's Federation forces achieved a temporary victory in their battle against the UE thanks to the success of Gundam Age-1. However, the enemy was now destroyed, and their invasion of Earth intensified. The Earth's Federation had been calling the enemy UE, but their true name was Beigan. Based on Mars, they had launched a war against Earth. In response, the Earth's Federation government began a plan to mass-produce the Age-1 to counter Beigan. However, both the Gundam itself and the Age system proved difficult to annoy, causing the mass production plan to stall. Friedel Suno grew up and became a soldier in the Federation forces. He worked to build up the military's strength in order to oppose Beigan. He officially joined the military's development division and contributed to the Age-1 mass production plan. Following his involvement, this project became known as the New Age Project. As part of this project, the Age-1 Unit 2 was manufactured. Although named Unit 2, it was not the improved Unit 2 that the Federation had once planned. Rather, it was a unit assembled from spare parts that was essentially the same as the Age-1. The Age system was not installed, but its performance as a mobile suit was equal to Unit 1. Unit 2 was created to conduct operational testing of the Assault Jacket. This was conceived as an alternative to the wear system used by Unit 1 to enhance mobile suit performance. The Assault Jacket is a type of jacket system developed during this project. The person who proposed this plan was D.K. Gung-heo. Like Frit, D.K. was a war veteran who sought to empower the Gundam with his own theories. Frit completed Unit 2 to carry out operational testing of the Assault Jacket. The aim was to efficiently collect and analyze data by equipping both Unit 1 and Unit 2 with the Assault Jacket and conducting tests with 2 units. Frit then enlisted Lagans Drace to pilot Unit 2. Lagans had originally been the official pilot during the development phase of the Age-1 Gundam. Like Frit, he was a veteran who had survived the war. Thanks to the efforts of Frit's comrades, the Age-1 Unit 2 Assault Jacket would go on to see action. Upon receiving Unit 2, Lagans interpreted it as a test for myself. He concluded that the Assault Jacket was experimental equipment that was still in the testing phase. Its purpose was to undergo operational trials and led to the development of more effective weaponry. He felt that equipping a mass-produced mobile suit with heavy offensive weaponry indicated that the Federation had yet to develop an effective countermeasure against Beigan. Frit may have shared a similar mindset. Lagans resolved to fight so that he could support Frit. Lagans and Frit conducted operational tests of the Assault Jacket at the military colony Ipsen. This colony was an unofficial, top-secret facility not even listed in the Earth Federation's defense records. It was a place where mobile suit research was carried out in order to safeguard the future of humanity. However, Ipsen was attacked by Beigan. A massive battleship and dozens of Beigan mobile suits appeared. Lagans and Frit were accompanied by 3 platoons of general units equipped with those rifles. Nevertheless, the disparity in strengths between them and the enemy was overwhelming. As the Beigan began their attack on Ipsen, Lagans recalled to aid the space colony, nor was destroyed. Now, however, he was standing on the battlefield as a Gundam pilot. Declaring his resolve, he said this time, "I will protect it," and charged towards the enemy. The Assault Jacket's combat performance was exceptional. The weapons mounted on its arms and shoulders efficiently destroyed the enemy with minimal ammunition. It possessed not only high offensive power, but the thrusters placed across its body also delivered excellent mobility. Despite its heavy appearance, the Assault Jacket demonstrated high speed and agile, precise maneuverability. However, Lagans saw that Frit was in danger. Frit's Age-1 was positioned directly in front of the enemy battleship's main cannon. As the story is told from Lagans' perspective, it isn't clear what was going through Frit's mind at that moment. Nevertheless, Lagans' recollection of the fall of Nor is depicted with great care, suggesting that Frit likely harbored the same or even stronger determination this time. "I must protect it." Lagans shared his thoughts with Frit, saying, "You're pushing yourself too hard again." He immediately understood the tactic that Frit was about to carry out. At the precise moment that the enemy battleship was about to open fire, he unleashed all of the Assault Jacket's weapons. By striking the battleship, he tried to alter the angle at which it fired. This would prevent a direct hit on the space colony. However, this tactic was extremely dangerous. Unit 1 was positioned directly in front of the enemy's main cannon. There was a high risk that Frit could lose his life. As all of the battleship's cannons prepared to fire, Lagans pushed Unit 2's thrusters to their absolute limit. Immediately after Unit 1 launched its attack, Unit 2 collided with it. The beam fired from the battleship filled Lagans' entire field of vision. The impact caused him to lose consciousness, but he quickly regained it. Both Unit 1 and Unit 2 had sustained heavy damage, but Lagans and Fleet were both safe. The space colony was also unharmed, and Fleet's attack had destroyed the enemy battleship. Fleet had been prepared to sacrifice his own life to become a saver. However, Lagans used the power of Unit 2 to save him. The second saver was Gundam Age-1 Unit 2 Assault Jacket. Finally, let's take a look at the weapons equipped with the Assault Jacket. The first is the Twin Dust Rifle. This weapon is mounted on the right arm and fixed in place. It is also equipped with a grip for holding it by hand. Since it is fixed to the arm, shooting is possible without using the grip. The purpose of this grip is unclear. However, in actual combat scenes, Lagans uses the grip to fire the weapon. Since an ace pilot like Lagans uses it, it must serve a practical purpose. It is unclear whether it improves shooting accuracy or helps to withstand the recoil of higher output firing. Next is the Dust Launcher. This is a beam cannon mounted on the right-hand side of the backpack. Like the other weapons, the equipment on the Assault Jacket is designed to be adaptable for use on other mobile suits. The Dust Launcher and its backpack were later improved and developed into the Glastron Launcher. Next is the Beam Balcon. Like the Dust Rifle, this is a twin-mounted weapon. There are no scenes in the story where the Beam Balcon destroys enemies. It may function as a secondary or reserve weapon. Additionally, the Beam Balcon can emit a beam saber from its muzzle. Thrusters are installed in place of the usual beam saber mount on the waist. Consequently, the Assault Jacket uses the Beam Balcon to generate beam sabers for close combat. If you look closely at the scenes in the story, you will see a moment where a Baygun mobile suit is destroyed by a beam saber. It appears that the beam saber has more than enough power to defeat the enemy. Finally, the shield. It is mounted in such a way as to protect the Beam Balcon. These are the Assault Jacket's weapons. Unit 2 is a mobile suit built from spare parts of Unit 1. Because of this, it is highly likely that it can also be equipped with weapons such as the Dust Rifle used by the Age-1. It is unclear whether the wear system can be equipped. There are no descriptions of the wear system whatsoever. Lagans did not like the way Fleet spoke with such maturity for his age. However, this was not because he disliked Fleet. Lagans also understood that it was not a personality flaw. It was the result of adults becoming fixated on the Gundam technology possessed by Fleet and the Yasuno family and ending up dependent on him. Lagans saw this situation as a sad outcome brought about by the irresponsibility of adults. Fleet was promoted and became a soldier of a higher rank than Lagans. Nevertheless, Fleet continued to treat Lagans as a close friend. In response, Lagans resolved to be there for him like an older brother. So, he accepted the role of pilot for the Assault Jacket. Lagans saved Fleet's life. The Age-1 Unit 2 that he later operated became the basis for the Adele. Furthermore, the Assault Jacket became the basis for the Age-1 Full Glancer. The Full Glancer became a source of strength for Fleet, protecting his life until the very end. It was Lagans' sincerity that protected Frit. Frit became the saver who saved Earth and Mars. However, it is also true that there was another saver standing behind him. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'll see you again in the next episode.